Just taking a nap, Lin Chen crossed into the Ultraman world and became a villain. And the Zarab people who released Belia from the cosmic prison have already made a big mistake in Ultraman's eyes. In order to survive in this world, Lin Chen works in a low-key manner, always focusing on one word and persevering. I don't want to provoke the original villain, nor do I want to provoke Ultraman. But I don't know why, but the other villains gave Lin Chen strong protection, fearing his death. Since you have gained so much power protection, let's just become the strongest villain. Anyway, the universe is all about the jungle. Chapter 1. Traversing into the villain of Ultramanly. You are listening at novel full.audio. The sound of the alarm was like a sharp needle, piercing through the silence of the universe and pulling Lin Chen out of his deep dream. He rubbed his sleepy eyes, and a strange scene was reflected in his pupils. Surrounded by cold and technological metal walls, shimmering with cold fluorescence, revealing a suppressed and mysterious atmosphere. His heart was pounding fiercely in his chest, and his thoughts were swirling like a jumble. Lin Chen tried to clarify his identity and situation, but could only recall those three confused questions in his mind. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? According to his memory, he should have enjoyed the tranquility of the afternoon in his comfortable bedroom, but now, everything no longer exists. The scene in front of him gradually became clearer, like a reproduction of an Ultraman drama. The familiar universe prison stood in front of him, imprisoning the villain who made countless Ultramen talk about him. Belia. What surprised him even more was that the pitch-black stick-shaped object in his hand, the gigabit fighting instrument, was the key prop to open this prison. Lin Chen's gaze fell on a piece of water crystal embedded in the wall, whose surface was smooth like a mirror and could clearly reflect his own image. When he saw his reflection clearly, he couldn't help but be stunned and incredulous. That was clearly a Zarab face, with deep sunken eyes, narrow nose bridges, and the iconic cunning smile, all proving that his identity at the moment was not human, but rather the cunning alien who released Belia in the plot. This discovery instantly sank Lin Chen's heart to the bottom of the valley, and a chill rushed from his feet to his forehead. Now he is convinced that he has traveled, and has traveled to Ultraman's world. Even this kind of sky-shattering opening. Lin Chen is well aware of the fate of this Zarab star person. After releasing Belia with the gigabit fighting device in his hand, he will be beaten to death with a stick. Since everyone already knows this fate, Lin Chen naturally won't repeat the same mistake. He even wanted to drop the gigabit fighting device and run away quickly. However, from the current situation, it is completely impossible. At the moment the gate of the universe prison was broken, an alarm had already been issued to the Kingdom of Light. I'm afraid Tyro is heading to the space prison with a bunch of Ultramen. Even if Lin Chen's speed was too fast, it was completely impossible to escape from their hands. The only way to survive is to release Belia. As long as Belia is released, I immediately kneel down and beg for mercy, and it is highly unlikely that Belia will kill me. With Belia's protection, it is impossible for oneself to be eliminated by those Ultraman warriors. If you go to Belia, you may die. If you are caught up by the Ultras, you will really die. For that little chance of survival, Lin Chen also had to fight hard. So, Lin Chen tightly grasped the gigabit fighting instrument, which symbolized supreme power, and advanced towards the deepest part of the universe prison like a lightning bolt. His figure shuttled through the dim and oppressive passage, leaving behind remnants. In just a few minutes, we finally arrived at the unfathomable core of the universe prison. There is an indescribable silence and gloom pervading here. A wall with a blood-red luster suddenly appeared in front of me. The red color was almost eerie, like a demonic light overflowing from the abyss of hell, flowing out through the crisscrossing cracks on the wall, forming an invisible yet highly intimidating pressure that was pressing against people's hearts. This blood wall seems to conceal some unspeakable secret, with ripples on its surface that tremble slightly like living creatures. In those gaps, a blurry silhouette of a figure appeared faintly. Although the specific form was unclear, the majestic momentum made people shudder. What's even more shocking is that, amidst the faint figure, a pair of lightning-like red eyes flickered with breathtaking light, as if they could pierce through everything. Lin Chen knew in his heart that this human figure was indeed Belia. Whether you can survive or not depends entirely on you. Lin Chen tightly grasped the gigabit fighting instrument in his hand. His gaze was like a blazing furnace, burning with a thirst for survival. He took a deep breath and poured all his strength into the gigabit fighting device like a tide. In an instant, the originally silent weapon seemed to awaken a sleeping beast, and a dazzling lightning burst out from the top. This lightning is like a raging dragon snake, carrying destructive power and rushing towards the wall ahead. Boom! 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 The continuous explosion echoed in the open space, and the shockwaves almost suffocated people. Amidst the smoke and dust, a dark figure gradually emerged from behind the shattered stones, appearing increasingly clear and shocking. This figure is bathed in the power of darkness, like a demon god from the abyss, emitting a terrifying aura that is enough to make one's heart shiver. That force not only ravaged the surroundings, but even exerted an undeniable sense of oppression on Lin Chen himself, as if even the air was frozen by its powerful presence. After unlocking the seal, Belia seemed to shake the heart of the earth with every step she took, and every contact between her feet and the ground made a dull and powerful impact sound. Crunching. That was the crisp sound he made as he moved his body joints, which sounded particularly penetrating. He lifted his head, his eyes flickering with a cold light, and looked up to the sky with a deafening roar. The sound pierced through the clouds, as if announcing to the entire universe. This once sealed dark hegemon has now broken free from bondage, regained freedom, and will once again rule this world with an unparalleled posture. Seeing Belia's recovery, Lin Chen went over directly and offered a gigabit fighting instrument. The strongest evil Dark Ultraman, Lord Belia, has gone through countless hardships from the universe to retrieve this gigabit fighting device for you. I have released you from the seal with a gigabit fighting device. Please lead the villain back to the peak moment. The group of Ultraman warriors from the Kingdom of Light are already rushing towards this side. Belia took the gigabit fighting instrument and carefully felt its power, realizing that it was indeed genuine. And judging from Lin Chen's sincere attitude, he didn't kill him with a single stick like on the original timeline. Is that group of Ultraman warriors from the Kingdom of Light coming over? It's interesting. Just give them a try. Just as Belia was planning to leave the space prison with a gigabit fighting device, Lin Chen's voice suddenly rang out in Belia's heart. Fortunately, Belia has been released now, and according to Belia's power, there must be no problem annihilating the entire Kingdom of Light. But even if the team is destroyed, it won't be much use. In the end, they will still be defeated by Zarab. But it doesn't matter. After the Kingdom of Light is destroyed, I'll just run far away. Chapter 2. This kid must be useful. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What were you saying just now? Belia turned around and looked at Lin Chen, asking coldly. I didn't say anything. When asked by the other party, Lin Chen also looked confused. Belia could tell from Lin Chen's expression that he was not lying. Humans in the universe possess the ability to engage in spiritual dialogue through the use of their imagination. However, Belia did not feel the intense fluctuations just now. But Lin Chen's voice will be directly reflected in his heart. Can it be that Belia really had hallucinations just now? However, whether it is hallucination or not, at least there are a few points in Lin Chen's voice that he should pay attention to. Firstly, Lin Chen is very certain that Belia can annihilate the entire Kingdom of Light. Even though many cosmologists know that Belia's power is powerful, someone like Lin Chen, who firmly believes that he is the first to annihilate the entire Kingdom of Light. Secondly, that is naturally the Ultraman named Zarab mentioned by Lin Chen. From Lin Chen's words, it can be seen that Belia will be defeated by this Ultraman warrior. At least from Belia's perspective, the ones who can defeat themselves are at least the level of the Father of Ultras. That is to say, one can be called famous throughout the entire universe. However, this is the first time Belia has heard of this Zero Ultraman. What kind of existence is the other party? It seems that only Lin Chen knows. There are quite a few secrets about this kid, probably he knows a lot of intelligence. If I could keep it, it should be of considerable help to me. From his words just now, it seems that he wants to wait for the destruction of the kingdom of light and escape, so I cannot let you escape. In an instant, Belia's eyes, which contained endless evil and power, suddenly burst out with a blood-red beam, like lightning piercing the sky in the night sky, quickly and accurately hitting Lin Chen's body. At that moment, time seemed to freeze in the air, and Lin Chen's heart also rose to his throat. His face instantly turned pale like paper, thinking that this would be a fatal blow from Belia to him. However, the expected pain and destruction did not come as expected. When the blood-red light touched Lin Chen's body, it not only did not cause any harm, but also poured into his body like a hot and powerful energy torrent, surging and surging. Lin Chen could clearly perceive that his energy breath was increasing and boiling at an unprecedented speed under the stimulation of this external force. He looked down at the position of his chest in shock, and saw a faint red light flickering and flowing under his skin, as if it were an imprint deeply engraved in his life. Just as he was puzzled, Belia's deep and majestic voice rang out at the right moment. I have already imposed a special imprint on you, which will increase your strength by 10 times. But this is not a gift, but a constraint. Belia's cold and ruthless words echoed in the void. This imprint not only allows me to constantly grasp your strength, but also shows your whereabouts without reservation in front of me. No matter which corner of the universe you escape to, whether it is the stars, the sea, or the abyss, I can easily find you with this imprint, and even, when necessary, with just one thought, I can directly erase you from this world with this imprint. After listening to Belia's explanation, Lin Chen's whole body went numb. Why is the plot completely different from what he imagined? After being bound by Belia now, he must be unable to escape even if he wants to. Fortunately, my own strength has greatly increased. In this situation, his survival rate in this universe has also increased significantly. Thank you very much for the gift from Lord Belia. Although Lin Chen had a slight fear in his heart, he still had to do well on the surface. The heart starts roast again. It seems that we cannot leave Belia's side now to survive permanently in this world. One must assist Belia well. Belia's survival is the first task, so it is definitely not possible for him to meet with Zero Ultraman. Now Zero has developed to a very strong level. If Belia wants to defeat it, she can only make the norm stronger. Lin Chen's voice echoed deep within Belia's heart once again, like an invisible ripple that stirred up circles of ripples in the darkness. There was a hint of confirmation in Belia's eyes, and he could almost certainly discern the secret voice in Lin Chen's heart. Even more strangely, Lin Chen was completely unaware of this and still immersed himself in his thoughts. This name, Zero Ultraman, once again emerged from the depths of Lin Chen's heart, like a shooting star piercing through the silent night sky, causing ripples to ripple in Belia's heart. This name seems to possess a magical power that made Belia keenly aware of Lin Chen's deep fear and apprehension towards the existence of Zero. The fear in Lin Chen's heart enveloped him like a dark cloud, and he was obviously extremely worried about the moment when Belia and Zero faced each other head-on. This not only deepened Belia's curiosity about Zero, but also made him want to uncover the true veil of this mysterious Ultraman. He was pondering what kind of strength could make Lin Chen so anxious, and even firmly believed that Zero could definitely defeat his powerful opponent. This also represents that it is very necessary to leave Lin Chen behind. But if you want to know more secrets, you have to ensure that they can survive in the future. Belia fled with Lin Chen to the outer space prison. However, as soon as they walked out of the entrance of the universe prison, they saw a bunch of Ultraman warriors. The leading Ultraman was Tyro, with a red cloak fluttering behind him. Go back to the universe prison for me. Tyro pointed to Belia and shouted loudly. Looking at this Ultraman, Belia's heart showed an inexplicable sense of familiarity. The next second, Lin Chen's voice sounded in Belia's heart. Belia Ultraman ranks 6th among the Ott brothers and is the father of Ott, as well as the biological son of Ott's mother, inheriting Ott's powerful combat power. It can be called the bottom card of the Otto brothers. It is normal for him to lead a team to block Belia's release from prison. Is it Mary and Kane's son? It's a bit interesting now. After learning about Tyro's identity, Belia's gaze towards Tyro instantly changed, adding a sharper hostility. Chapter 3 is over. I can't explain it clearly now. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tyro resolutely threw down his cloak and rushed towards Belia with an incredibly firm step. His bright eyes sparkled with determination and courage, and his heart echoed with everything recorded in the history books of the Kingdom of Light about this former comrade and now a formidable enemy. Belia Ultraman. Tyro knew very well that Belia was not an ordinary opponent. He was a dark warrior with terrifying power, and his strength was unfathomable. It was not easy to completely defeat him on his own. However, Tyro understood that regardless of the odds of victory, in order to protect the peace of the universe, he must do his utmost to challenge this powerful enemy. Even if it was only a temporary retreat of Belia to the cosmic prison, it could still buy his brothers valuable gathering time. At this moment, his brothers are busy summoning powerful members of the Cosmic Guard, who will march towards the direction of the cosmic prison in a steel-like team. Faced with Tyro's fierce impact, Belia snorted coldly, and the gigabit fighting instrument in her hand shone with a chilling light, as if mocking Tyro's overestimation. His arrogant words echoed on the battlefield. Well done, I want to see how capable Kane and Mary's sons are. After saying that, Belia waved the fighting instrument and launched a stormy attack on Tyro. The two sides immediately fell into a fierce confrontation. On the other side of the battlefield, Lin Chen's figure was surrounded by a copper wall and iron wall formation of 10 Ultraman warriors. These 10 giants of light each display their divine abilities, and their figures appear majestic against the backdrop of dazzling starlight and blazing light. Each Ultraman put on a fierce combat posture, his gaze fixed on Lin Chen, and the solemn and tense atmosphere seemed to freeze the air. Lin Chen couldn't help but burst into a bitter smile in his heart. He was surrounded by Ultraman with such a luxurious lineup when he crossed over. Such treatment really made him laugh and cry. He looked up at the 10 heroes in front of him who were guarding the peace of the universe, with mixed emotions and a deep sense of helplessness surging in his heart. He knew very well that he didn't want to be enemies with these Ultra Warriors, even though he now had the strength to defeat them. Dear Ultraman brothers, could you give me a chance? I'm really just passing by, and this incident really has nothing to do with me. Lin Chen tried to remain calm and looked at the Ultraman warriors who were staring at him with a pleading gaze. His words were full of sincerity, hoping that they could understand his innocence. However, upon hearing this, an Ultraman let out a cold snort, clearly not accepting Lin Chen's explanation. The Ultraman's gaze was sharp, pointing towards 2 companions who had fallen from the forest dust not far away. Their bodies were still struggling weakly on the ground, as if silently accusing. Do you think you can pass by? Look at those 2 brothers lying on the ground, how can we believe you? His words were as sharp as a blade. As soon as the words fell, the Ultraman launched an attack without hesitation, like a lightning bolt rushing towards Lin Chen, intending to subdue him in the shortest possible time. Other Ultraman warriors around are also gathering momentum and ready to support at any time. However, just as Lin Chen was about to take action to confront the enemy, a powerful force suddenly erupted. A fiery red lightning bolt pierced through the sky and struck the charging Ultraman with a thunderous force. Only a deafening explosion was heard, and the Ultraman was forcefully thrown out, hitting the ground like a meteorite, creating a huge crater. This Ultraman was severely injured and lay motionless at the bottom of the pit, with painful roars echoing in the air. And this amazing move was made by Belia. Although he was engaged in a fierce confrontation with Tyro, for Belia, the battle was more like a leisurely stroll with ease. With his extraordinary strength and unfathomable energy, he was able to distract himself from the situation on Lin Chen's side and effortlessly unleash a thunderous strike at critical moments, rescuing Lin Chen from danger. For Belia, the existence of forest dust undoubtedly holds extremely important significance. At least until we confirm how much information Lin Chen has. This guy can't be dead enough. Seeing the auto warrior being hit severely by Belia's casual move, Lin Chen's heart suddenly tightened and he couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. His original vision was to be able to take action and knock the opponent unconscious with just the right amount of force, which would not only achieve the goal of stopping but also prevent irreparable damage. In this way, it can at least prove that Lin Chen is not a complete villain, and there is still a trace of conscience and bottom line. However, Belia's move was too ruthless, almost taking the life of the Ultraman. Its strength and speed shocked Lin Chen. Just a little more strength, I'm afraid that the Guardian of the Light will die on the spot, which will undoubtedly increase Lin Chen's guilt and make the situation even more difficult to deal with. Witnessing all of this, Tyro Ultraman's eyes burned with anger, his chest heaving sharply, filled with a mixture of justice and anger. Without hesitation, he stepped forward, raised his arms high, and the fiery energy condensed in his hands, dazzling like a rainbow, which was his proud unique skill. The Strom Light. This light contains an extremely strong power of light, which has turned countless fierce monsters into ashes. At this moment, Tyro's gaze was firm and resolute. He believed that even a person as powerful as Belia could not easily receive the fully unleashed Strom Light without being harmed. At least, in Tyro's heart, he held this belief and was prepared to give Belia a strong counterattack. However, looking at this move, Belia still didn't take it seriously. He lifted the gigabit fighting instrument in his hand, and with just one tap, he directly scattered the entire Strom beam into countless light particles. Just as Belia planned to seize this opportunity to pursue victory. Suddenly, I heard Lin Chen's voice again. After Belia defeats Tyro, Tyro will definitely drag Belia to the Land of Light. It will be Belia who will attack the entire auto warriors of the Land of Light, then destroy the Land of Light group and bring plasma sparks to the monster ranch to resurrect those monsters. Then Belia thought that this would enable him to dominate the entire universe, but he was ultimately killed by Sero. Unfortunately. After hearing Lin Chen's voice, Belia was even more surprised. The main thing is the other party's voice, which makes it clear what Belia wants to do next. Those who didn't know thought that Lin Chen had the ability to predict the future. Chapter 4. Belia surprisingly escaped. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Even if all the monsters in the monster cemetery are resurrected, they will still lose to Ultraman named Sero. This made Belia's heart even more curious. Who is Sero? Surprisingly, it has already reached this level. If this plan doesn't work, can we just run with plasma sparks? Do not go to the monster graveyard to resurrect the monster, but instead run to other universes for loot development. As soon as Belia had this idea, Lin Chen's voice began to ring again. Even if you only want to run with the core of the plasma spark, it is completely useless. The entire Kingdom of Light was destroyed, and the King of Ot did not take action because he believed that Sero could solve it. If it were to run directly into another universe, it would be another matter. Perhaps the King of Ultras would personally take action to retrieve the plasma spark core, because currently, the Ultra Warriors of the Kingdom of Light do not have the ability to easily traverse the multiverse. I'd better think about how to survive this battle. After listening to Lin Chen's profound voice, Belia's thoughts surged like a tide. His unique dark red eyes sparkled with cunning and wisdom, and his deep understanding of the plasma spark core gradually deepened. It was just a sun that could be manually controlled. Despite its power, it seemed to lack some foundation and qualifications to overturn the entire universe with such energy. Belia was well aware that if a larger and endless energy source could be found, it may be possible to replace the existence of plasma spark cores. However, such a massive energy source is undoubtedly a needle in a haystack in the vast universe, and it would undoubtedly be difficult and lengthy to search for it alone. However, once Lin Chen's intelligence network and unique vision are utilized, the situation may undergo earth-shattering changes. They may be able to lock in and collect a massive amount of energy in the shortest possible time that can rival the plasma spark core. At this moment, Belia lifted her head and the gigabit fighting instrument in her hand shone with a cold and fiery red light. His wrist twitched slightly, and a huge red light blade containing destructive power instantly spewed out from the gigabit fighting instrument, accompanied by deafening explosions, like a strong wind sweeping fallen leaves. The Ultras, who had originally surrounded the forest dust, were thrown out by this force, and after passing through mournful arcs in the air, it fell heavily on the ground, sparking a spectacular scene of dust and Mars splashing everywhere. It seems that the top priority at present is to evacuate this place with this kid first, Belia silently pondered in his heart. He knew that only by surviving could there be more possibilities and a chance to reach the source of power that could overturn the universe. After defeating all the Ultras, Belia grabbed Lin Chen's arm. "Follow me." In the next moment, the two of them seemed to blend into one, transforming into a shooting star burning with fiery red light, instantly tearing apart the silence of the universe and galloping away. The meteor dragged out a long trail, like a bloody scar imprinted in the vast starry sky. Taylor Ultraman watched all of this happen, his eyes filled with incredible shock. He tried to pursue, but even though his speed was exceptional, he could only sigh at the stars, at this moment, whose meteor-like speed had already exceeded his limit. His body stood in the center of the shattered universe, gazing at the direction of Belia's departure. The doubts, worries, and complex emotions of unknown challenges intertwined in his heart, forming a profound picture. He couldn't help but mutter to himself, "I just left so directly." Mainly based on Belia's personality, there's something wrong with him running away so directly. Shouldn't we immediately seek revenge against the Kingdom of Light? After all, after being imprisoned in a cosmic prison for tens of thousands of years, my hatred towards the Kingdom of Light should have reached its peak. From Taylor's perspective, he couldn't analyze Belia's intentions at the moment. Only injured members of the Space Guard can be brought back to the Land of Light. Reported this matter to the father of Otto and his team. "You said that after Belia was released from prison, she actually left the universe prison and chose to escape." Otto's father's words carried a clear sense of shock and confusion, and his majestic and weathered face was engraved with doubts. He and Belia were once comrades fighting side by side, experiencing countless moments of life and death together, and they knew each other's personalities very well. In his memory, Belia, even before being eroded by the dark forces of the Lebrando people, was a resilient and unyielding existence, never giving up easily in the face of difficulties, let alone taking the action of running away, which seemed almost shameful to him. Now, after obtaining the powerful force that can disrupt the order of the universe, his pride and confidence will only expand even more. He will definitely sneer at the practice of running away, which deviates from his strong beliefs. Especially in the persistent pursuit of the plasma spark core in his heart, Belia showed an incredibly firm determination and perseverance, as if it was the most important and sacred goal in his life. So, even if Otto's father puts himself in the role of Belia to think, he cannot understand why he chose to escape at this critical moment. Tyro looked at his father's puzzled expression and felt mixed emotions in his heart. He furrowed his brow and kept replaying the scene of Belia escaping from the universe prison in his mind, trying to understand the current state of mind of this former hero. "Yeah, I'm also puzzled by this," Tyro's deep voice echoed in the air. "We really can't guess what Belia's sudden escape was all about. Captain, why don't we send a group of members of the Space Guard to investigate first? It's too dangerous to keep Belia in the universe." At this moment, Sophie expressed her thoughts in her heart. "You can first investigate what Belia really wants to do." Otto's father agreed to this request and asked Sophie to arrange it. All the warriors of the Land of Light did not see the forest dust taken away by Belia as a threat. After all, in their eyes, how big a storm can a Zarab person stir up? Their memories are filled with experiences of confrontation with the Zarab people, who were either powerful or cunning, but ultimately failed to shake the foundation of the Kingdom of Light. They have a clear understanding and evaluation of the strength of this race, believing that it is difficult to bridge the power gap with the Kingdom of Light. Therefore, when it comes to the forest dust taken away by Belia, a feeling of contempt and neglect naturally arises deep within them. In their view, no matter how much a Zarab person struggles, they cannot compare to the power of the Kingdom of Light. They did not expect that Belia's sudden escape had countless connections with this seemingly insignificant Lin Chen. Chapter 5. Directions, Strongest Leonix. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Belia brought Lin Chen to a very remote asteroid before stopping. After stopping, Belia also expressed surprise at her behavior and ran away directly. Just listening to Lin Chen's voice, Belia decisively believed. If it were before, he would definitely not have done this. But since it has already been done, there is no room for regret. The next step is to extract more information from Lin Chen's mouth. Kid, you've been living in this universe for so long, do you know any powerful weapons? Belia looked at Lin Chen and asked. He definitely won't say the things that Lin Chen's inner voice revealed before. If Lin Chen knew he could hear his inner voice. We can't reveal any more information later on. Well. Lin Chen didn't know what to say for a moment. Oh no, Belia started asking me more information. What would be better to tell him? Is it difficult to say that thing about Amalaru ore, but I have no idea in which universe the Amalaru ore is located, and I have to go to other universes. I really can't tell him about the strong people. That race seems to be from another universe as well. If I don't say it, does he have to kill me? Listening to Lin Chen's voice, Belia's heart began to analyze. Amalaru ore, as well as the strong people. These are names that Belia has never heard of before. From Lin Chen's voice, these things seem quite impressive. If these two things can be found, it may greatly increase Belia's power. And in fact, it is indeed so. Whether it's the Amalaru ore or the strong people, for Belia, it's similar to a crouching dragon and phoenix chick. One who gains one can gain the world. Especially the Amalaru ore, the strengthening of Belia is too fierce. If it weren't for Noah's final appearance, Sero would have been thrown into dust long ago. Even knowing these things further proves the importance of Lin Chen to Belia. Kid, why don't you tell me now? Belia lifted her stick and pretended to slap Lin Chen. Lin Chen was frightened and expressed his thoughts in his heart. By the way, I know there is the strongest Leonix on Earth. If we can subdue him, perhaps we can help Lord Belia. With these words, Belia's movements came to a halt. Oh. The strongest Leonix. From Belia's perspective, it's not a problem for him to claim to be the strongest Lobronx. Not only were the remnants of Leonix directly invading their bodies. He also possesses the highest level gigabit fighting instrument in his hands. The other Leonix are all remnants of their bloodline, and their combat equipment still needs to evolve from the most basic. In this situation, it seems that Belia is the strongest. Lin Chen said that there is still the strongest Leonix on Earth, which is a bit interesting. Since Lin Chen claims to be the strongest Lobronx, let's go and take a look. Okay, I actually want to see this called strongest Lobronx. Take me to find him. Belia looked at Lin Chen with a ferocious smile. No problem. Lin Chen nodded, still knowing where the Earth was in the residual consciousness of his body. It seems that the original Zarab people had plans to invade Earth. Immediately, Lin Chen took Belia to the location of Earth. Panlong. Lei and Captain Hinata are heading to a planet for observation. Mainly, the environment of this planet seems to be suitable for human habitation. If that's true, humans can have more hometowns. During the flight, Lei always frowned and felt that danger was approaching him. Lei, did you feel something? Captain Hinata looked at Lei and asked with concern. Boss, I always feel a bit strange, I don't know what to say. Even if they felt something was wrong, they still landed on this planet. Just before we went much further, the entire ground began to tremble violently. In the midst of trembling, a black monster suddenly emerged from the ground and appeared in front of everyone. Looking at this monster, one of the team members immediately recognized the other's identity. That's Zarab's, how could it appear here? Zarab's is also considered a quite powerful presence in the group of monsters. Mainly because he has one characteristic, which is that the more he fights, the stronger he becomes. If the battle lasts too long, it is easy to elevate the opponent's combat power to a relatively high level. Upon seeing Zarab's, Rei took out his fighting device from his arms, intending to summon Gamera. However, in the moment when Gamera had not yet shown its grandeur, a sudden transformation occurred. In the originally peaceful and wave-free sky, a brilliant and dazzling red light suddenly flashed across the sky. The fiery light, like a shooting star, fell rapidly towards the earth, and its momentum was like a broken bamboo, causing the entire sky to lose its color. The strong red light quickly spread out, almost devouring the originally clear and blue sky, like a magnificent and mysterious painting slowly unfolding before the eyes of the world. With the arrival of this red light, there was also a deep and extremely oppressive aura of darkness, like the awakening of a giant beast that had been sleeping for thousands of years, overflowing with power. The heaviness and coldness of that force seemed to penetrate the air and directly affect the human soul, making it suffocating and even oppressive. As a member of the Leonix, Rei has a particularly profound sense of this power. He is able to keenly capture the unique fluctuations contained within it, which are a life energy originating from ancient times and transcending ordinary, with endless wildness and unknowns that make people shudder. Zarab's, who once looked down on the crowd, couldn't help but be intimidated by the red shooting stars in the sky. His gaze was firmly fixed on the red light, and his originally arrogant gaze was filled with indescribable fear and unease. The force that descended from the sky was like an invisible shackle, nailing his legs to the ground. No matter how hard he struggled, he could not move a single inch, and could only watch the mysterious force approach step by step. The shock in his heart were indescribable. Boom boom boom. In the end, the red meteor directly hit Zarab's. The terrifying force directly shattered Zarab's hard body into countless energy particles and dissipated them. Zarab's couldn't even scream in time. Even if he has the characteristic of getting stronger and stronger, it is completely useless. This powerful force has completely exceeded his endurance. Among the red meteors, two huge figures are gradually emerging. Chapter 6. Different Leonix Fighting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Looking at one of the figures, Lei's eyes were filled with surprise. Mainly, one of the figures is too similar to the Ultraman warrior. After fighting alongside the first generation in Sean, Rei also realized the existence of Ultraman. However, compared to those two brothers, there is a slight difference. This figure, resembling an Ultraman warrior, exudes an ultimate aura of darkness. This dark aura is so powerful that it makes Lei feel unbelievable. Make him believe that there should not be such a level of darkness in the universe. Is this the Leonix you're talking about? Belia looked at Lin Chen and asked curiously. That's right, he was the last Lebronx to survive in the Battle of the Lebronx. At the time, the LeBron Dorian wanted to use his body as a vehicle, but he directly knocked it over. After hearing Lin Chen's explanation, Belia's curiosity naturally intensified. The essence of Leonix's fighting is still quite clear to him. It's just that the Lewandowski people are looking for the strongest host. In this situation, Rei was able to kill the Leonix. It seems that the strength is indeed quite good. Then let Belia see how powerful this Leonix is. Captain Hinata and the others also saw Belia's appearance. In their hearts, Ultraman generally symbolizes light. They also saw the Dark Ultras for the first time. So after seeing Belia, everyone felt very shocked. But even if it's serious, they know one thing in their hearts. That means Belia would never be a good person. You're actually a Leonix. Ray's pupils contracted instantly, with an indescribable shock and amazement in his voice. He stared intently at Belia in front of him, his originally calm state of mind like being thrown into the lake by a giant rock, creating layers of ripples. At this moment, Ray sensed the unique and powerful aura emanating from Belia. A special force that only Leonix possessed, a presence capable of controlling monsters and cosmic creatures. His heart suddenly quickened. Upon hearing Ray's words, Belia's lips curved into a cold smile, like the cold moon in the dark night, making people shudder. It seems that your insight should not be underestimated. His tone was filled with arrogance and provocation. You can sense the aura of me as a Lubronx. I saw Belia casually carrying the gigabit fighting instrument on her shoulder, with a casual yet powerful movement, as if this action was a silent contempt for thunder. And the reason why Ray was so shocked was because after the Leonix fight, he thought he was the only Leonix in this universe. I didn't expect there to be one more now. Even the Dark Ultras. Belia's sinister gaze fixed on Lei, who tightly grasped the gigabit fighting instrument in his hand. He suddenly raised his hand and waved it, instantly condensing a hot and violent energy in the fighting device, rolling and boiling like volcanic lava, ultimately turning into a crimson energy bomb, roaring towards the location of the thunder with a destructive force. The power of this energy bomb is astonishing. Its destructive power is enough to instantly evaporate an ordinary monster without leaving any trace. If it hits a mine head-on, even its molecular structure may be completely shattered and turned into dust in the universe. Just as the energy bomb was about to tear through the air and hit the thunder, the fighting instrument suddenly burst out with a dazzling light. Amidst the radiance, accompanied by deafening roars, a huge monster, Gamera, emerged from the radiance. Its massive body was like a moving mountain range. Without hesitation, spreading its arms and using its solid back as a barrier, it bravely blocked the blow that could shake the heavens and earth. Although the energy shock wave of this attack exploded on Gamera, igniting a blazing flame and smoke, Gamera remained motionless, only trembling slightly, clearly not fatally injured. Its skin emits a faint glow under the impact of energy. Belia saw this scene and a subtle surprise flashed in her eyes. He is well aware that the strength of monsters often directly reflects the cultivation level and control ability of their owner, Leonix. A monster that can withstand such a fierce blow from a gigabit fighting device is truly rare in the entire universe. It seems that Ray will be called the strongest Lubronx, which is indeed a bit of a skill. Faced with the bottomless darkness of Belia, Gamera's heart felt as if it was shrouded in invisible pressure. The oppressive feeling originating from the Leonix bloodline caused a ripple of fear that could not be ignored. However, deep in its eyes shone a steadfast light, and in order to protect its master, no matter how powerful the opponent was, Gamera must muster up the courage and step forward. It emitted a earth-shattering roar, which echoed over the battlefield like a war song. Gamera's body was tense, her limbs were full of energy, and she suddenly burst into a thunderous force, rushing towards the position where Belia was. Belia watched coldly as he faced the surging Gamera. There was no ripple on his face, and he didn't even hold the gigabit fighting instrument in his hand. He just casually inserted it into the hard ground beside him, as if declaring to the world that one hand alone was enough to face all challenges. Gamera's claws shimmered with cold light, like two sharp giant blades, casting shadows in the air and frantically pounding towards Belia at a suffocating speed. Every attack carries the power of a landslide and tsunami. However, Belia's reaction was incredibly swift, and his figure was as elusive as a ghost. He lifted it lightly with one hand, as if an invisible energy barrier had been formed. No matter how fast or powerful Gamera's attack was, he easily and effortlessly blocked it one by one. His calm and composed posture seemed to mock Gamera's meaningless struggle. After several rounds of intense confrontation, Belia's cold and ruthless eyes showed no signs of fatigue, but rather a bloodthirsty glow. His body is like a rock in the dark, as stable as Mount Tai, without any shaking. And Gamera, in this struggle between power and will, despite displaying an incredibly resilient fighting spirit, could not conceal the gradually emerging state of exhaustion. Belia seized the opportunity and a cold light flashed in his eyes, like the sharpest lightning in the dark night. He swung his evil claw and struck Gamera with a thunderous force. The power of that claw seemed to condense the dark energy of the entire universe, and its power was enough to shake the heavens and the earth. With a loud bang, Gamera's massive body was instantly hit by this violent force, like a broken kite, flying out of the center of the battlefield, crossing a beautiful arc and falling heavily to the ground hundreds of meters away, stirring up a patch of dust and gravel. As this battle can also be considered a Leonix fight, so Gamera's damage will also be fed back to Ray. Lei was also knocked out. The plot of Chapter 7 is even more skewed, with Lei being blacked out in advance. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. What a powerful force. The shock in Lei's heart surged like a raging wave, as he struggled to lift his head from the shattered ground, his eyes flickering with shock and determination. The strike of the Dark Ultraman seemed to carry the power of star-shattering, and with just a casual punch, it tore open a fierce wound on the sturdy earth. The opponent's strength is immeasurable, and the destructive power displayed by this strike is only the tip of the iceberg. If you give it your all, its power may far exceed your own limit, and even potentially shake the order of the entire universe. Lei was well aware of this, but he did not shrink back from it. Instead, he became even more determined to fight. He understands the responsibility and mission he bears. He must defeat the Dark Ultraman in front of him, otherwise this powerful evil force will pose an immeasurable threat to his companions and innocent creatures once it wreaks havoc. Keep fighting, Gamera. Ray let out a thunderous shout on the devastated land, his body instantly enveloped in a blazing light, like a phoenix's nirvana, rapidly transforming into the form of a Leonix. His eyes were as sharp as a sword, and his whole body was filled with an indomitable fighting spirit and unwavering belief. In response to the call of thunder, the ancient monster Gamera, who was sleeping deep in the earth, also woke up in this stirring fighting will. It stands tall, leaping vigorously from the cracks in the ground, emitting a roar that intimidates heaven and earth. The roar is filled with endless courage and loyalty, as if declaring to the world. No matter what difficulties and dangers ahead, it will accompany thunder to face them together until the last moment. It seems that this guy is much more resilient than I expected. Belia stared deeply at the scene before her, watching Gamera struggle to climb up from the ground after enduring a devastating blow. He raised his eyebrows slightly, his black paws gently caressing his cheeks, leaving a cold scratch, as if pondering something. The just blow undoubtedly gave him a thorough understanding of Lei's combat effectiveness. Relying solely on dark forces to erode thunder can indeed significantly enhance Gamera's combat ability, but even so, compared to oneself, this improvement still appears insignificant. Belia had already reached a conclusion in his heart that he was not very interested in continuing to entangle with this Gamera. So, in this moment, he decided to end this unquestionable battle. I saw his figure flickering like a ghost, and in an instant, he came in front of Lei, with a speed that was almost impossible to capture. His black claws lifted and lightly brushed in the direction of thunder, and a rich and dark aura surged out like a torrent, rushing straight towards Thunder's body. That dark aura was like a bone-attached maggot, instantly infiltrating every corner of Lei's body. As the erosion of the dark aura deepened, the appearance of the thunder began to undergo earth-shattering changes. The blue and silver dual-color light that originally interwoven on his body gradually faded, replaced by a red and black dual color symbolizing evil and frenzy, like a painting soaked in ink. At the same time, Gamera, who shared the same intention as Lei, was not spared. Under the influence of this dark force, Gamera's massive body was instantly covered by blood-red energy, with a bloodthirsty red light flashing in her eyes. Her entire form suddenly changed and entered an unprecedented state of madness. Its roar was deafening, as if even the earth was trembling for it. Not good, Lei is starting to fall into a frenzy again. Captain Hinata saw this scene and planned to pounce on the thunder, waking it up directly. Thunderstorms don't happen once or twice. They can also be considered experienced. However, Belia would never give them this opportunity at all. With a light tap on the ground, Captain Hinata and the others were directly shaken out. After being eroded by dark forces, Rei now only obeys Belia's orders. To be honest, Lei's ability to control monsters is indeed not weak. With its cooperation, Belia can summon a powerful monster army at a faster pace. And all of this, Lin Chen saw it in his eyes. It's over. Belia not only didn't grab the plasma spark core, but also blackened out Rei in advance. Originally, on the original timeline, it was Rei who played the greatest role in helping Zero eliminate him. Without Rei's intervention, Belia was not much different from invincible. What to do? What to do? The plot is getting more and more skewed. These heartfelt voices once again reached Belia's heart. After hearing these sounds, Belia felt some joy. It seems that there is an unexpected joy in controlling the strongest Lobronx. From Lin Chen's words, it can be inferred that Belia will be defeated, and Zero is a factor, as is Rei. Both must be indispensable. Of course, for the sake of conservatism, it would be better to accumulate some strength first. However, Belia was lost in deep thought about whether to bring Lin Chen with her. He understood that Lin Chen was like a mobile encyclopedia of intelligence, and having his entourage undoubtedly added wings like a tiger. But at the same time, he also realized that if Lin Chen stayed by his side all the time, the tense pressure would also increase, and may even cause Lin Chen to become wary and no longer express his true feelings. After some consideration, Belia decided to temporarily let Lin Chen stay in this universe to alleviate his psychological pressure. Kid, I'll go one step ahead and gather the power of the Monster Legion from other universes. He looked at Lin Chen with a determined and cunning light in his eyes. And you, stay here, closely monitor every move of the Kingdom of Light for me, and provide important information at any time. Can you do it? Upon hearing these words, Lin Chen felt a sense of relief in his heart. He raised his head and responded with a firm gaze, "Of course I understand, sir. I promise to do my best to complete this task." Words are filled with determination and loyalty, like a vow echoing endlessly in the void. Belia snorted coldly and left the universe with Rei and Gamera. Confirming that Belia's evil power had completely disappeared at the end of the universe, Lin Chen's tense heartstring finally relaxed, as if the heavy burden he was carrying was instantly lifted. Surveillance of the Kingdom of Light. He is well aware that it is impossible and an extreme irresponsibility towards himself. After all, he had already formed a grudge with the Ultraman warriors of the Land of Light for some indescribable reason. If he intruded again without authorization, it would undoubtedly push himself towards the center of the storm, and it would undoubtedly be playing with fire and self-immolation. At this moment, the most important thing lingering in his heart was to do everything possible to eliminate or shield the special mark from Belia on his body. This mark is like a sword of Damocles, constantly hanging above his head, making him unable to rest assured. Only by completely breaking free from this constraint can he truly find a safe place to live in this vast and boundless universe, and live in peace and stability. With a determination in his heart, Lin Chen's figure quickly disappeared into this star field, leaving behind a blurry silhouette. He plans to find a hidden and unknown place that can avoid potential tracking by Belia and provide enough preparation time for his next plan. Chapter 8. Tragedy, Collision with Dana. You are listening at novelfull.audio. And when searching for a safe hiding place in the universe, Lin Chen Gang noticed two figures nearby, engaged in fierce combat. One of the figures is red and blue, with a brilliant blue gemstone on its chest and a strong aura of light emanating from all over its body. And the other one is a cosmologist with golden hair. Lin Chen could still see these two figures at a glance. One is the cosmic light-And Ultraman. The other one is from the Babar planet. Ultraman is fighting with the cosmos, which seems quite normal. This is not uncommon in this universe. Lin Chen thought to himself, hoping that he could act quietly. As long as he pretended to pass by this place unintentionally, he should be able to avoid the attention of the Babar star people and Dana. However, he overlooked a crucial fact, which is that after awakening and elevating his strength, the breath inside him is no longer comparable. This powerful dark aura is like a dormant beast, and once he tries to accelerate his escape from this place, he must use more force to drive it. At the moment when he decided to accelerate, a vast and inexplicable dark energy erupted from his body like a volcano, instantly surging in the air and unable to conceal it. This sudden change immediately caught the high attention of the nearby Babar people and Dana Ultraman. The Babar Star Man saw that the familiar source of the dark aura was actually Lin Chen, and couldn't help but be shocked and with a hint of joy on his face. He urgently waved his hand and shouted, "Zarab, come and save me." After feeling the call of the Babar Star people, Lin Chen felt a shock in his heart. He quickly searched for the intersection with the other person in his memory, and then suddenly remembered that there was indeed a countless connection between this body and the Babar people. They came from the same organization, and it was reasonable for them to know each other. However, the call for help from the Babar people at this moment undoubtedly revealed their relationship in front of Dana, which is equivalent to directly telling Dana that they are enemies of the same camp. Lin Chen couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. Why did the Babar people greet him so loudly at this critical moment? This scene plunged him into an extremely awkward and dangerous situation. Dana Ultraman stared at Lin Chen in front of him, his bright and lively eyes filled with an indescribable surprise. The Zarab people, this race, have fought against each other multiple times in the vast and boundless universe, and are well aware of their powerful ability to change their form to cope with battles. However, at this moment, the aura emanating from Lin Chen's body shook Dana's heart. This was not the aura that an ordinary Zarab person should have. The profound and powerful power fluctuations seemed to hide some unknown secret. Dana was full of doubts and speculated inwardly. Could it be that other powerful beings in the universe disguised themselves as Zarab people and were carrying out some secret missions in the universe? No matter who is sacred, since it has entered his sight, he must not take it lightly. So he decided to take action. I saw Dana holding his hands high towards the sky, and countless dazzling light particles began to gather around him. These light particles, symbolizing his infinite power, gradually condensed and formed in his hands. In the next moment, they transformed into several lightning-fast light bullets, shooting towards the position where the Babar Star Man and Lin Chen were. Faced with Dana's fierce attack, the Babar people clearly did not show weakness. They immediately mobilized their full body energy and burst into a dense barrage of light bullets in their hands, forming a fierce confrontation with Dana's attack. However, Lin Chen chose to stand still and welcome the baptism of light bullets without fear. In the depths of his heart, he had an unwavering trust in himself, believing that these seemingly powerful light bullets could not harm him in the slightest. As he had expected, the light bullets fell like shooting stars on Lin Chen's body, but were instantly blocked by his tough skin, leaving no trace. Seeing Lin Chen demonstrating such arrogance, the Babar Star people naturally felt even more excited. He accelerated his pace and hid behind in the early morning, shouting at Dana. "Dana Ultraman, I advise you to choose wisely to retreat. As long as my elder brother is here, you cannot cause any harm to me." The proud words of the Babar Star Man carried a hint of cunning, which suddenly shook Lin Chen's heart. When did he get into a brother-brother-brother relationship with the Babar Star Man? This is something that has never happened in his original memory. However, Lin Chen's thoughts were rapidly spinning and he soon gained insight into the intentions of the Babar people. This is an identity lie fabricated by the Babar people in dire straits to protect themselves, with the aim of shifting Dana's attack focus to themselves. Faced with the provocation of the Babar people, Dana Ultraman was not easily confused, and his calm gaze seemed to pierce through all hypocrisy. Are you his big brother? It's a bit interesting. Dana's voice was like thunder, every word revealing a firm determination. So, let me see if you can still resist my attack in the upcoming battle. At this moment, the crystal-shaped timer on Dana's head suddenly flickered with a dazzling red light, which was like hot lava, instantly igniting the surrounding air. The next second, this energy swept through the whole body like a rushing torrent, and the body, originally red and blue, began to change, gradually turning into pure red. The muscle lines became more distinct, and the body became more muscular and robust. That's right, at this moment Dana Ultraman has switched to a powerful form. In this form, his strength, speed, and attack power will be explosively enhanced, enough to break the current deadlock. Immediately, Dana's body turned into a red light and rushed towards Lin Chen at an extremely fast speed. The zero-gravity environment of space allows strong individuals to exhibit extremely fast speeds. Looking at Dana calling at him, Lin Chen dared not underestimate him at all. He knew that Dana's strong fists were very terrifying, and when he unleashed all his strength, he could even use his fists to kill monsters alive. If hit by this punch, one will also suffer considerable damage. Moreover, Lin Chen himself had no intention of fighting Dana. Why provoke other Ultramen when they have already provoked Ultramen from the Kingdom of Light? Hurry up and we'll finish it. As for the Babar star person next to you, let's escape together. If there is his cover, perhaps it will be safer later. So Lin Chen grabbed the Babar star man with one hand and lifted the other hand, gathering strong strength to collide with Dana's fist. With a loud bang, a terrifying shockwave erupted. With the help of this shockwave, Lin Chen's body transformed into a black meteor in the universe and quickly fled. Chapter 9. The So.Called Cosmos Invasion Alliance. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Lin Chen, along with the Babar people, traveled at an astonishing speed through the brilliant universe. Behind him, Dana Ultraman chased after him with all his might, but he could never bring himself closer. In a strong form, the Dana is powerful, but in this boundless universe, the advantage in speed is particularly important. He knew deep down that if he could transform into a miraculous form at this moment and utilize his ability to move instantly, he might still be able to keep up with the pace of the two. However, the transformation of Dana's form has strict limitations, and the transition from strong to miraculous requires a certain buffer time, which means he can only watch Lin Chen and the Babar star people gradually disappear before his eyes. I knew I wouldn't have switched forms so hastily, Dana felt remorseful. Helplessly, his body turned into a radiance and returned to its initial shiny form. He thought he could defeat the Babar star man smoothly, but he didn't expect to kill a Zarab star man halfway through. The energy fluctuations emanating from that guy were profound and unpredictable, clearly not an ordinary person. Dana secretly made up her mind that the next time she met this Zarab human in a narrow path in the vast universe, she must completely eliminate it. Later, he turned around and left, his figure gradually merging into the starry sky. In a safe zone far from the battlefield, Lin Chen and Babar finally slowed down their pace. The smile on Babar's face was like a cunning fox, and he gratefully said to Lin Chen, "It's really thanks to you, Zarab. If it weren't for your help, I'm afraid I would have been cleaned up by that Ultraman." Lin Chen, on the other hand, was speechless. He didn't want to save him at all and was forcibly drawn into the battle by this Babar star man. "Since there's nothing else, I'll leave first." Lin Chen's heart was filled with a firm idea. To find a place that no one knew. Only there can he truly wash away the traces of the past, start over, and gradually establish a brand new and righteous image. He knew very well that only by becoming a recognized upright figure could he completely break free from the entanglement of the group of Ultramen who were relentlessly pursuing him. However, just as Lin Chen was about to take a step forward, a low and slightly threatening voice rang out. "Brother Zarab, are you going to be your own person?" Don't you plan to go back to the Cosmic Invasion Alliance with me? The Babar Star Man appeared in front of him at some point, blocking his way, with a glint of cunning and coldness in his eyes. I came out specifically to find you this time, continued the Babar Star. Since the news that you obtained the gigabit fighting device was transmitted back to the Alliance, those cosmic people have been like sharks smelling the smell, all coveting your power, hoping to get a share of the pie with your light. After hearing this, Lin Chen's heart couldn't help but tremble, and a hint of incredible confusion flashed in his eyes. What is the connection between this and the safety of our people? The Babar Star Man watched as Lin Chen's expression changed, with a hint of subtle surprise in his eyes. However, he quickly regained his composure and explained in an almost indifferent and helpless tone, Zarab, it seems that you have really forgotten that before you embarked on this adventure, you made a military order in front of the Alliance leader. You will bring Belia back to our Cosmic Alliance and use his power to help us achieve our ambition to dominate the universe. You should be aware that military orders cannot be easily violated. If you choose to deviate from this path, according to the original agreement, your fellow countrymen will suffer a catastrophic disaster and be mercilessly executed. Every word spoken by the Babar people was like an invisible shackle that tightly bound Lin Chen, putting him in a dilemma. How come I don't know about this? After Lin Chen revealed astonishing facts to the Babar people, his inner shock was indescribable. He traced back to the long river of memory, and the forgotten scene gradually surfaced, like a distant and blurred dream. He thought to himself that if it weren't for the reminder of the Babar people, this hidden secret would never have been seen again. He couldn't help but feel bewildered by the behavior of his original body owner. Making such a military order was like a hot-headed and reckless gambler, completely without considering the possible serious consequences. Thinking of this, Lin Chen couldn't help but smile bitterly. No wonder, in the original storyline, this Zarabu star person would be mercilessly killed by Belia, and his people would pay the price of destruction as a result. Although Lin Chen and the Zalabu people today are only nominally of the same race, their souls carry this heavy responsibility. He knew that even if he was no longer the Zarab star being manipulated by fate, he could not sit idly by and let innocent lives fall into a life and death crisis due to the former's reckless decision. It's okay. Lin Chen let out a light sigh, his eyes flickering with helplessness. Let's go back to the Alliance and see the situation first. His words fell and his figure followed closely behind the Babar people, flying towards the direction of the so-called Cosmic Invasion Alliance. After flying for a while, the two of them had already arrived at the Astro Invasion Alliance. This so-called Alien Invasion Alliance is actually just a slightly larger spacecraft in the vast universe. Its internal structure is exquisite and complex, with clear spatial layers, wide enough to accommodate thousands of diverse forms of cosmic life forms. In this metal and glamorous spatial city, every corner is filled with the unique atmosphere of exotic civilization. When Lin Chen's figure suddenly appeared inside the spaceship, it was like a stone thrown into the calm lake, causing a huge uproar. Those cosmic beings from different planets with their unique appearances stopped their work and focused their gaze on him, beginning to whisper. You see, that Zarab man has appeared. A slender and cunning-looking cosmologist spoke up first. I remember he didn't go on a mission to bring Belia back. Why is he returning with the Babar people now? Asked another cosmologist in heavy armor, with a worried expression on his face. Did the mission fail? A small but sharp-eyed creature guessed, and the surrounding air seemed to suddenly become heavy with these words. If the mission really fails, then the fate of the Zarab people will be disastrous. Another cosmologist added with deep sorrow, according to their rules, once a major mission cannot be completed, the entire Zarab people will face the disaster of extinction. Faced with the discussions of the people in the surrounding universe, Lin Chen's face was calm as water, as if nothing could shake his heart. At this moment, a group of Zarabu people slowly gathered around. Although they were not many in number, only 100 people, the presence of this group of peers made Lin Chen feel a subtle warmth and pressure. One of the wrinkled and particularly elderly Zarab people walked forward, his eyes deep and desperate, as if carrying the weight and vicissitudes of countless years. He looked at Lin Chen and sighed lightly, his words filled with disappointment and helplessness. It seems that you didn't succeed in bringing back Belia, did you? Chapter 10. Tasks that are impossible to complete. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Faced with the doubts of the Zarab star people, Lin Chen just stood there quietly, with a hint of complex and profound emotions flashing deep in his eyes. He knew that the answer to this question was a heavy sense of helplessness from the beginning. He was able to live to the present day not by chance, but because he changed the originally established timeline and reversed the direction of fate with his own strength. The Zarab star man looked at Lin Chen's silent expression and seemed to understand something. He shook his head slightly, and a deep sadness and desolation appeared in his eyes. It's just that, it seems that the fate of our tribe has really come to an end. His words did not mean to blame Lin Chen, but were full of endless emotions towards reality and despair for the future. The Zarab people of their branch have been struggling to survive in extremely harsh living environments. Their home planet resources have long been depleted, with barren land, thin atmosphere, and scarce food and water sources, like a cold and cruel painting, mercilessly depicting the difficult living conditions of their ethnic group. In order to find a glimmer of vitality and enable the population to continue to thrive in the vast universe, they had to join the powerful alliance of cosmic beings, hoping to seize this opportunity to obtain more resources to rely on for survival. However, now it seems that this move has been extremely difficult, and may even be fatal. If the Alliance's mission cannot be completed, the only fate waiting for them is the merciless execution. At least in this way, we can die in pain and pleasure, said the Zarab star with a bitter smile, but his eyes showed a sense of relief and composure. In the face of adversity, they choose to accept the arrangement of fate and exchange death for dignity, which may also be their last stubbornness and struggle in this boundless universe. At this moment, a Naker star appeared like a protagonist in a movie, attracting everyone's attention. He walked steadily towards them, step by step, and the red cloak behind him fluttered up and down with his steps, like a blazing flame. This Naker is a burly person with a metallic sheen on his skin, emitting a powerful and suffocating aura from top to bottom. His gaze was as deep as a black hole, and his gaze seemed to pierce through all illusions and disguises. At the moment when people from the surrounding universe saw this Nakelite, they all agreed to debut, with expressions of awe, admiration, or vigilance on their faces, all revealing the extraordinary identity of him to onlookers. Their neat and uniform movements, lowered gaze, and subtle silence formed a solemn scene. Combining such scenes and details, Lin Chen couldn't help but feel waves in his heart. With his keen insight and control of the situation, he could almost be certain that this red-robed and majestic Naker is likely the leader of this cosmic alliance. It seems that our great hero has finally triumphed, said the stargazers of the Knuckles, casting a mocking smile on Lin Chen's lips. There was a hint of deliberate provocation and contempt in his voice, as if he had already understood the outcome of Lin Chen's action. Lin Chen's face was slightly tired, but his gaze remained firm as before. He glanced at the gossiping people around him and calmly replied, "Unfortunately, I didn't succeed in bringing Belia back. His strength far exceeded my original estimate, so strong that I couldn't subdue him." He paused and continued to elaborate, or more precisely, as a representative of the dark forces, Belia is inherently disdainful of us, the Cosmic Invasion Alliance. For him, perhaps being able to be liked by us is an insult to him. As Lin Chen's words fell, the entire spaceship suddenly fell into a new round of turmoil. Many cosmologists whispered and sneered at Lin Chen's statement. Listen to what he said. There are so many excuses for mission failure, a burly cosmologist shouted with a displeased expression on his face. Another sharp-tongued cosmologist also agreed, that's right, how powerful our cosmologist's invasion of the Alliance can be looked down upon by a mere Ultraman. No matter how powerful Belia is, he is just an ordinary Ultraman warrior. However, They were unaware that the terrifying power and endless darkness hidden behind the name Belia were unimaginable existence for their shallow and ignorant universe. In their perception, Belia may just be an ordinary Ultraman, but in the eyes of true powerhouses, he is the dark hegemon who stands alone and is by no means ordinary and comparable. These cosmic beings, although they know that Belia was imprisoned in a cosmic prison and suffered from tens of thousands of years of sealing, are unaware of a crucial fact. That seemingly indestructible cosmic prison was actually created by the Supreme King of Otto himself. How could a presence that can be personally sealed by the King of Otto compare in strength and status to ordinary weaklings? The surrounding mockery echoed one after another, and the Knuckles raised their hands slightly. An invisible pressure instantly calmed down the noise. His gaze was as deep as an abyss, gazing at the guy in front of him who was speaking wildly. I don't care if your statements are true or not, at least one thing I remember in my heart is the military order you made before. His words were calm and powerful, and every word seemed to be imprinted in the air. Now it seems that you have not completed the promised task, so according to the agreement, you will bear the cost of failure. To follow your tribe and accept the death penalty. The voice of the Naker Star suddenly turned cold, like piercing ice. His fingers lightly tapped on the console, and cold metallic luster flowed through his fingertips, reflecting his resolute expression at this moment. He continued, speaking of which, the space on our spacecraft has indeed been a bit tight lately. However, once we clean up all of you losers, it can make room for other more valuable cosmonauts. At a time when the Naker people were about to take action and punish Lin Chen and his companions severely, the atmosphere was almost frozen into substance. However, at this critical moment, the Babar people resolutely stepped forward, his figure appearing particularly prominent in the gloomy light and shadow. His calm and firm voice echoed through the spacecraft, "Leader, please allow me to make a suggestion." His words carried an undeniable calmness. For Lin Chen and his team's failure in this mission, we should indeed hold them accountable, but they have also successfully plunged the Kingdom of Light into some degree of internal turmoil. The gaze of the Babar Star Man was like a deep starry sky, sparkling with the light of wisdom. He continued to explain, this undoubtedly provides an excellent opportunity for our side to invade other planets. We can take advantage of this chaos and gradually expand our territory and influence in the universe. He turned around and looked directly at the foreign tribes who were full of hostility towards Lin Chen, with a tone of compassion in his words. So, I would like to plead with the leader to be lenient and give them a chance to be reborn. Although their actions have brought failure, they have also brought us a glimmer of hope. In this way, at least they can avoid the fate of immediate death. At this moment, a ripple rippled in Lin Chen's heart. Faced with the hostility and isolation of many foreign races around him, the actions of the Babar Star people undoubtedly penetrated the darkness like a warm sun, making him feel the long-awaited emotion. He knew that speaking for himself in such a storm, the Babar people undoubtedly took huge risks, and could even be said to be wandering on the brink of life and death. This friendship and courage left a lasting impression on Lin Chenming's heart.